No one likes arrogant, loud people, and Jake Paul is the worst one out there. It seems like there's someone who dislikes MMA fighters more than anyone else in the world, and he's a former UFC middleweight champion. Luke Rockhold intends to thrash the out of him. The former champion has been known to be pretty vocal, and with Paul's antics, it makes sense that he doesn't like him. But do you think he went too far this time? I don't like Jake Paul, so I don't mind. The fighter really wants to knock out the former YouTuber. More so, since he announced that he wanted to leave his video making days behind and compete in MMA. Earlier this month, he signed a contract with the Professional Fighters League and will start competing in the sport in 2023. He'll be in charge of fighter advocacy for the company and will also have a stake in the business. This gives him the freedom to take personal responsibility for the growth and well-being of the company's fighters. Plus, he also asked Nate Diaz, a former UFC star,
the way it works is the guy who won is usually the better fighter, but
who is now a free agent, to fight in his league. The former star sensation spends a lot of time boxing and wants to fight Tommy Fury in the next few months. He believes in himself because he also wants to fight Diaz in both the octagon and the boxing ring. Even though he's doing pretty well in the league, Rockhold still doesn't like him. He has been known to criticize the new fighter for choosing to fight older athletes and smaller opponents. He thinks the YouTuber should pick on someone his size. Rockhold has challenged Paul to take him on. He believes that a fighter demonstrates his strength when he's in the ring with someone who has a chance against him. Fighting older athletes and smaller athletes doesn't prove anything. He thinks the Paul brother looks like a welterweight, and he's pretty sure he can take him on. Plus, I'm pretty sure that he could beat the Vine sensation without trying very hard, and so does he.
Him every day and fighting people, like sometimes you just hit a wall. 15 years in the sport, you know?
Now that he has more freedom to do what he wants, it's clear that right now he's really into boxing, and he wants to take this newbie on. He keeps taunting the player to fight with men who aren't 55 years old, wimps, or lightweights. Rockhold has also predicted that the fighter will never be a heavyweight unless he pulls his weight. The former YouTuber has spent the last 4 years training. So it's not clear if he'll fight in the octagon. His hatred towards the star is pretty justified though. What did Paul expect? You can't come into a sport and pick on the legends without any backlash. What he said was bad. Calling Rockhold an embarrassment to the sport, YouTube watchers and people in general know that the Paul brothers don't hold themselves back. They say whatever comes to their minds and have been known to say pretty stupid things. Fortunately, Jake now knows that he can't say bad stuff about his rivals and get away with it. Certainly not with Ariel Helwani involved. He's pretty arrogant though, because he's been very successful in life despite being part of some nasty controversies. He's a businessman, a YouTuber, and now a professional boxer. In the ring, he has a perfect record and has beaten former MMA champions. He was recently in the news because his last 2 fights had to be stopped. He injured both fighters pretty badly. He's been known to say a lot of nasty stuff about the co-main event of UFC 278. The event was a fight between 2 top middleweights. One of them was past his prime and had to retire because of the fight, and in the end, it turned out to be a pretty exciting one. In this fight, he destroyed the former UFC title challenger Paulo Costa.
But he is tired, Paul. Backing up is not his favorite.
Oh man, he got tagged.
Because of his amazing skills in the ring, Helwani called him a pioneer, but Jake Paul doesn't agree with him. The journalist couldn't help but admire the fighter's skills in the match, and like the rest of us, he was totally in awe. In peak Paul fashion, the fighter commented on his tweet and said that Rockhold isn't a legend, he's an embarrassment. These brothers need to keep their opinions to themselves. There was some back and forth between the two, and it ended with Helwani coming out on top. The journalist talked about the fighter's uphill battle to get back into fighting shape, and Paul has never gone through anything like that. Knowing what a badass Rockhold is, he had to retaliate, and you better believe he wants to fight it out. That's one way to solve a conflict. If Paul knows what's good for him, he should rethink some things. This year has been the craziest time for free agency in combat sports. Rockhold's decision to retire took everyone by surprise, and his fans were heartbroken.
I've been through so much the last few years. Thank you.
But he's back now, and what's even better is that he can choose any career path that he wants. When word got to him about Paul's opinion on his fighting skills, he got pretty angry. In a super exclusive interview, he said that he'd love to get the opportunity to beat all these little punks who think they can box. Yikes. He joked that it was his destiny. Paul's professional boxing career has been going up, so it makes sense for him to fight Rockhold.
Nate, back him up. Get up out of there. Speed. Speed kill. Get up on him then, dog.
Four of the problem child's 6 opponents were former mixed martial arts champions, and he beat all of them. His last fight in October was probably the hardest one he's had so far. He won a majority decision against Anderson Silva.
Right hook from Paul.
Can't win rounds that way.
Who, like Rockhold, was a former UFC middleweight champion and will be seeing him in the ring soon in Saudi Arabia. This time, he and Tommy Fury will get it on. If Fury can't make it to the fight night for whatever reason, there's someone else who can take his place. Rockhold is ready to fight Paul in his next match. Everyone in the league knows who Jake is.
He has no chin. It's all a joke. I'm ending you February 26th, and you already know it.
The fighting legend called him the schmo, who just doesn't have what it takes. Plus, it doesn't seem like Fury is up to the fight.
Been going on too long. He will never box again. You know, I'm not 50, I ain't 40, I ain't an MMA guy.
Because he needs to fight Dylan Dennis. Fans are super eager to see the problem child put his fighting skills where his mouth is.
Sure, he's going to have to pay for the things he's said and the time and money that he's wasted.
And I, for one, know that if anyone can put him in his place, it's Rockhold. He's a legend and one of the most famous people in the sport. Plus, with him being a free agent, he's unstoppable now.
You know, I thought the kid had like better head on his shoulders, and I thought he was doing like better for the sport, like you said.
The 38-year-old said that the UFC COO let him fight twice, and that led to him getting out of his contract early. He's done his part for the league.
But I'm ready so you can tell him bring it on a whole nother level up high, no phone.
And now wants to take matters into his own hands. I can't wait to see him beat up the YouTuber, and apparently he can't wait to do it either. It's pretty obvious why Rockhold is so sure of himself. He has the skill to back it up. He's had a long run and has had to endure a lot of things in the past. His fans were super happy to know that he's much better now and super ready to get back into the ring. Challenging Paul was a pretty smart move on his part, and it was pretty necessary. That kid's a punk. This fight will prove once and for all that this former UFC champion has earned the right to call athletes out on their game. His experience gives him a huge edge over the former YouTuber, but I can't say for sure how things are going to turn out, as Paul hasn't lost a single fight. Whenever they get into the ring together, it's going to go down in MMA history. That's all we have on Luke Rockhold wanting to beat the out of Jake Paul. See you in the next one.